already got the rumblings that Daniel Jones, he's already switching agencies. He's already looking at that $45 million range.
Yeah.
When you talk to people at the Combine, and, we have those logical conversations. Like, you can't give Daniel Jones,
No, I mean, it's
Patrick
easy.
Mahomes, Josh Allen money, but the Derek Carr type deal, which is basically, you get him for a couple of years, you can get out after, you got to hedge your bet. You got to have a hedge your bet deal.
It's a very easy conversation. He comes in, he's like, I want $45 million a year. And you go, well, that's great. So do I. What you're actually being offered is half that. And if you don't want to take it, we slap a franchise tag on you because we don't trust that you're actually going to do this again next year. So we want to hedge anyway. So these are your two options. You take a deal that's half what you're looking for, or we franchise tag you. And then we might franchise tag you again next year, depending on how this works out. But Daniel Jones has no leverage here. None. To walk in and go, I want $45 million a year. I would genuinely laugh that out of the room if I was the Giants representatives and they came in. That was as Daniel Jones representative, we were looking for $45 million a year over whatever number of years. I would start laughing and the negotiations would be ended pretty soon after that.
Joe Shane, the new GM there, comes over from Buffalo. I think they've already showed to be a pretty sharp group. I think when you combine that with Brian Daboll and the fact that he wins Coach of the Year, which was well-deserved, exceeding expectations, taking a roster that had no name receivers and an offensive line that had issues and a defense with a whole new system and all that stuff to have the success that the Giants had, great first year. Do you think Brian Daboll looks at this and says, like, how do coaches think about this? Do they look and say, hey, I did these good things with Daniel Jones. Give me the opportunity to build on that and do more. Or can you sit down with Brian Daboll and say, you're the driver here, right? You're the one who got this career year out of Daniel Jones, tapped into his rushing ability. We can get you any other top 15 to 20 quarterback and you'll do the same thing. We're going to strive for more. We could do this with anybody. Let's not overcommit to Daniel Jones.
Yeah, look, the Giants had a terrible offensive line. They had a bad receiving core, and Daniel Jones played pretty well, certainly relative to expectations with Brian Daboll. You have to be looking at that and saying, all right, I'm intrigued by what Daniel Jones did, but I'm not $45 million a year for the next however many years intrigued. Like, this is the definition. This is why the franchise tag exists. Like, it is the perfect opportunity for the team to hedge and say, we're going to give you money, but we're not going to do it long term. And for the player to actually get a ton of cash off the back of playing quite well, relatively unexpectedly. Like, this is why the franchise tag is there. If it didn't exist, there would be an impasse. Because Daniel Jones would say, I want $45 million a year over 5 years. And the Giants would say, not a chance. And he would therefore walk out of the building. They would have to let him hit free agency and see what the market dictated. Now they don't have to. You slap the franchise tag on him and you say, right, we'll revisit this in 9 months and see what you've done. Like, it's the obvious solution.
I'd be willing to walk away if I needed to.
Rather than franchise tag it.
I mean, I'd probably do the franchise tag. Maybe just to buy myself some time to get the next guy. But don't you think, like, what does Jimmy G command on the market? Jimmy G, is he a better quarterback than Daniel Jones? Jimmy Garoppolo?
If he is, it's not by a huge amount, and you lose out on the rushing threat, and he's broken all the time.
Yeah. The rushing threat is the thing, right? Where it's still hard for me to properly value it. But you see what that did for the offense, right? So that there is that. But you also have 12 picks, 11 picks in the draft, a lot of maneuverability there. I'd probably franchise Daniel Jones because you have plenty of cap space as well. I'd probably give him one more year, but then I'm looking to how I'm going to get the next quarterback next year.
It's $32.4 million to franchise tag a quarterback.
And the Giants are one of those teams. Like, they can do that right now and still have plenty of cap space.
And the cap just jumped. Like, it's not an onerous amount of money.
They're third in effective cap space at 43.
It's the obvious solution. Franchise tag him, spend the next 12 months figuring out what he is, and then decide what you want to do next year.
And I'm also going to that, assuming even after a year, I'm still not sold on him. But I might be.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
I might be, but I'm probably not. It's still there's like a 20% chance that he gets a long-term contract at the end of it. But I would also use this year to get another QB in the building and take swings and drafting. And
But now it's a little bit like the Justin Fields thing, where he's shown enough with not a good situation other than Brian Daboll as his coach to, I think, deserve the opportunity with some more help. Like, let's fix his offensive line. Let's give him some receivers to play with. Let's lock him up to a franchise tag and keep him in the building for a year and then see what this looks like at the end of the year. If he doesn't get any better when the situation got better around him, then we've probably found Daniel Jones's level and we can talk much more seriously about let's just move on because it's not worth this.